Welcome to the new Dreamflow, where you can build, preview, and deploy your apps all in one place, giving you the freedom to develop however you want through prompting our AI agent, visual development, or interacting with the code itself. So let me give you a tour. Let's start with a prompt. Let's build a habit tracker. The first thing Dreamflow is going to do is formulate a plan that you can see over here on the left. On the right, you're going to see the execution of that plan, including each of the tasks it's going to accomplish, the files it's going to edit, and the diffs that you can expand to see what it's actually doing. Additionally, you'll see any of the packages that it adds and all of the classes that it's writing. After it writes these files, you can click into this View Generated Files and select any file you want and see all the code that's written. When the task is completed, you'll see that Dreamflow checks it off. And if you have some extra time, you can play asteroids. All right, let's go back and view our progress. And let's close out these messages right here. And you can see that we're almost done. As it's writing the code, it will compile it and check for errors. And if there are any errors, it will fix them. All right, it's done. So now it's opening it in Dreamflow. And beautiful, here's our app. Now, let's get a little accustomed to this interface. Now, up here, you can see a couple of different options. And this left one over here, when I select it, will be my widget tree. So you can see all the widgets on your page. Next, over here, we have our properties panel. Now, we don't see anything right now because we don't have any widgets selected, so we can't see any widgets. But this is getting a little bit cramped right here. So I could shrink it down, but actually I'm just gonna close this agent panel right here. And that's this third option. There we go. That's feeling better. The last main section is right here, a preview of our app. Well, it's actually the app itself. This is the complete running version of your app. Okay, so let's make some changes here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change this title right here. Now, I could click through right here and try to figure out where this is, but there's an easier way to do it, and that's to turn on inspect mode right here. And that allows me to hover over and select whatever widget I want to change. So we want this text widget right here. And when I select that widget, you can see all of the properties populating over here. And you can just go in and change them. So I want this to be Keystone Tracker. Okay, that's great. Next, this is a little bit too big, and you can see this style is coming from this headline small. That is from our theme settings that you can edit in this second tab right here. So that's headline small right over here, and I'm just going to bump that down. Yeah, that's looking better. I've got another app here. It's a to-do app, and if you notice, I've got this error right here. It's an overflow error, and I want to fix that with our agent. So I'm going to toggle our agent chat right here. And there are various ways that you can deal with debugging issues like this. But for this one, I'm going to go down here and take a screenshot and add that to the agent context right there and say, in the tab bar, there's an overflow error. Please fix. Awesome, and that is fixed. And our agent gives us a nice summary of the tasks that it's taken to fix it. The next thing I want to do is I want to connect this to a backend service. And we have native modules for Supabase and Firebase. Of course, you have full access to the code, so you could use any backend you want, but let's use Supabase. So let's come over here to our Supabase module and connect to Supabase. This will bring you through the OAuth flow and then set up your project in Supabase. Great, the project is set up. Now let's have the agent generate the client-side code. And you can see it's added to the thread right here and it's planning its execution. Now, what's great here is that because the agent has a context of your entire app, it sees that it's a to-do list, so it's creating the tables that make sense for a to-do app. Great, it's finished. We've got a summary of all the tasks that it took. Now the last step is to deploy these schema changes. Now what this is doing is that it wrote all the SQL to create the tables and the row level security, and now it's just executing those. All right, that's all looking good. I can see here in Supabase that I've got my to-dos and all the other things and all the other tables, but when I go back to the app, I'm not seeing anything. And that's probably because I'm not authenticated as any user. So let's change the entry page. So I'm just going to tell it to make sure the auth page is the entry page. All right, great, that's done. Great, so we're signed in, but I don't think this button is working right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on inspect mode right here. And this button right here, I want to right click and add it to the agent context right here and say, this button is always disabled. Make sure it's working properly. All right, that's done. So let's test it out here. Create Dreamflow tutorial. Beautiful. Now, so far we've used our agent to make changes to our app. We've selected widgets and modified their properties in the property panel, but there's one other way that you can interact with your app, and that's directly with the code. And you can see that up here. So if I go into code view, you can see I have full file system access where you can edit any file. But it gets better because I can go into split view right here, and let's close our agent to make a little bit more room. And if I'm in inspect mode, I can select whatever widget I want, and it'll bring me right there to that widget. I can edit it. So let's just call this task. And when I save it, those changes will be propagated in all of the development surfaces. Also, if I select a widget in here, each context will be highlighted in the preview and in your properties. But I feel good about this, so I think it's time to publish. So I'm gonna go back into preview here and go to publish and deploy with one click. And here's our live project. Awesome. And here's our deployed app. You can also deploy straight to the App Store and Play Store. Now, if you run out of credits while you're building, you can go into your settings over here and into Manage Plan. Then go into View Plan and choose the option you need. And that's the new Dreamflow. We can't wait to see what you'll build. Share them with us on Twitter with the handle @DreamflowApp. We can't wait to see what you'll build, and we'll see you in the next video.